Okay, so in this scenario, we will talk about a case when our employee is using his home computer, and this home computer is also used by other members of his family. So, for example, also he has kids who are playing games or using the computer to browse the internet. So in this case, there is a lot of risks that I would like to talk about. So let me share my screen. There it is. Okay, so I hope you can see it well. And yeah, so in this case, on the left, we have the attacker's machine. And on the right, we have the victim's machine, a personal computer in the home network that is used by our employee and his family members. So our employee is using tools such as VNS-CP. So this is a tool that is used to connect to SFTP, SSH, and other similar services. And as you can see, the root password is saved here to our corporate server. And now, so let's see some other applications. We can see that there is also mremote ng. So this is a tool which can be used to manage the connections to RDP services, such as Paula was talking about. And also here you can save all the credentials for your internal infrastructure. What else? We can see that there are some browsers, and also there is a GOG Galaxy platform. This was a software probably installed by the children of our employee. So this is a platform similar to Steam, where we can buy games, install games. Yeah, so this is a typical home computer. Okay, so let's say that our employee is opening emails on this computer. So it's like a pretty common scenario. And as you can see, there was a malicious email sent to our victim, and the hacker was using the sqdemo.net domain, which is similar to our corporate domain, which is cqdemo.pro. And as you can see, the cyber criminal is saying that there is something really urgent to do for our employee because our CEO is asking for it, so it must be something really, really important. Okay, so let's say that our employee opens such email and opens such link. And as you can see, there is an Excel spreadsheet that could be opened. So let's open it. Yeah, okay, so as you can see, there is a warning that this file is running in protected mode. However, as always, many people don't take too much attention to the warnings, so probably our employee could accept this warning, so let's accept it. We have another warning about the macros in this Excel file. So let's also accept this warning because we want to know what's going on here. And in this case, there is an image in the background. So wherever we click here, a macro will be run. So let's see what this macro does. Let me check. Yeah, so this is the details of the macro. And as you can see, this is a really simple script, and that is running a PowerShell process. And the following code will be executed with PowerShell. This is our reverse shell code that we prepared, which is, I think, one of the shortest shell codes in PowerShell. It's about 200 characters long. And what would this code do is that it will connect back to our attacker, and by that we will be able to take over the PowerShell session. So, okay, so let's check how we can do that. So the victim will be connecting to our attacker on port 443. Because this is a port that is usually opened in the companies and in secure networks and so on. So this is a popular one. Okay, so let's close this macro. And at the only beginning, let's start a listener. So let's start a Metasploit framework. And we will use the Metasploit framework because it's much more convenient to manage the sessions, because we will get more than one session here. Okay, and now if we have the Metasploit framework opened, now let's start the listener. So we will start the reverse TCP shell listener on port 443, and we will run it in a background. So in the background we have a process that is listening on port 443. And now let's try to run the macro. So we are clicking somewhere here, and as you could see, the attacker actually got the session to our victim. So let's communicate with this session. So this is a session number 1. And let's check who are we, right? So who am I? And as you can see, we are a user on this machine, a regular user. We don't have any administrative privileges right now. However, in this case, if, for example, a ransomware was able to take over this account, then the ransomware could encrypt the files, all the files this user has access to, such as, for example, so these are the files, for example, that could be encrypted by ransomware, and after that there could be a warning that you have to pay a bunch of money to get your files decrypted. Or there is also a new approach recently that is used by ransomware. So there is a warning that all the files that were able to download will be published on the internet after like 3 weeks if there is no payment for the ransom. So so this is a huge risk, especially for the companies. But we can't actually get access to other users' files, such as, let's say, there is an admin user, so we don't have access to the files of this administrator. However, we could perform other malicious actions. For that, we can use the post-exploit framework that we prepared. So in this case, we will download our PowerShell scripts library straight to the memory, so no files will be created on the victim's drive. So the scripts are loaded, and now we can provide some malicious actions, such as taking screenshots of our victim, and upload it to our attacker's machine. So let's take the screenshot of our victim. And as you can see, there is a new file on the server, and this is a screenshot of our victim. So we can see what our employee is doing. And now let's do some more malicious actions. So we could also record the keystrokes. So let's say that that we have so our employee is trying to log in to our corporate email inbox, and let's say that our attacker is listening to the keystrokes. So everything that our victim writes with his keyboard is sent back to the attacker. So in this case, we will be listening for the keystrokes for about 20 seconds. So let's start the script, and let's try to log in with the following email credentials. So we have the username and a very difficult password. Okay, and now let's see if the victim's password was compromised. Yes, it was. Yes, so this way we were able to capture the password of our victim, and it was also uploaded to our attacker's machine. Okay, so this is the next thing that we can do, but that's not all. As we said before, there are a lot of tools that store passwords, so we could try to extract those passwords. So now let's try to use the lasagna tool. So in this case, we will download the lasagna tool from our attacker's server to our victim's temporary directory. So let's download it. It will take a while. And after that, we can use this tool to extract credentials to which our victim user is allowed to. So we will use the all parameter to extract all credentials available to this user. And this is going to take a while. And after that, we could gather a lot of interesting information that could be used by the attacker in further attacks on our infrastructure. So as we said, there are some information that the passwords for company Wi-Fi and home Wi-Fi are saved on our workstation. However, because the user is not privileged enough, it wasn't possible to extract those passwords, but we will talk about it later on. However, this user was able actually to extract the passwords to the SSH service available on our company server, from the WinSCP tool that we were talking about previously. Moreover, there were some passwords saved in our Internet Explorer and Edge browsers. So also these passwords were extracted. So they could be used for further attacks, or these inboxes, mailboxes could be used in social engineering by our attacker. Okay, so what's the next thing the attacker would like to do? The next thing the attacker would like to do is to escalate the privileges of the user. Because when we escalate the privileges, and then we could get access to the files of other users, extract information from the memory, dump process memory, so some more interesting information could be gathered. And so let's try to check what other and in this case the attacker let's say was able to identify that our victim is using the GOG Galaxy, so this platform that is similar to Steam, that our child installed. And actually this platform is running with the highest possible privileges, the system privileges. This is because such platforms like GOG, Steam, Epic Games, and so on must have high privileges to install games, to change the configuration of the games. So we could use this software to escalate because it runs with high privileges. And actually, in this case, a member from our team, Adrian, found a vulnerability in GOG Galaxy about half a year ago, and it was responsibly disclosed on our CQURE Academy blog, where you can also find some other results of our research. Yes, so in this scenario, we will use the exploit written by Adrian that allows us to gain system privileges with GOG Galaxy. Okay, so for that, we need to download the exploit to our victim's machine from our attacker server to the temporary directory. So we are downloading it, and after that we will change the access permission to the GOG Galaxy folder. Yes, so that because this is a program files directory to which normal users don't have right access to. However, this exploit allows us to change the access permissions to the GOG Galaxy, and like that we can replace the file, the GOG Galaxy client file, client service file with our malicious reverse shell executable that will connect back to us with the highest privileges possible, so with the system privileges. Okay, so let's change this service file. So we replace the file, and after that we can start the Galaxy service. Yeah, so this is, so we were able to change the service file responsible for Galaxy client. Yeah, so there it is. Okay, and when we start this service, then it will run with local system privileges. So let's start it. And as you can see, we got another session. So let's go to the background and let's communicate with our new session. Okay, now let's check who are we. And as you can see, we have the system privileges on this particular machine. What could we do with the system privileges? Yeah, so this is the victim's machine. And what could we do with the system privileges? We could, to make it more convenient, we could start a PowerShell. And after that, we can download Mimikatz to our temporary directory. So let's download it. It was downloaded. And after that, we can run Mimikatz to dump credentials from the LSAS process. So we will run the debug privilege, and we will extract passwords and other credentials from LSAS with the use of Mimikatz. So let's run it. And as you could see, we found NTLM hashes and some other credentials that are stored on our machine that could be used to perform, for example, pass-the-hash attacks to attack other machines on our corporate network. Okay, so what's the next thing we can do with this kind of privileges? As we said, the ransomware is able to get access to other users' files, so all the files in the system could be encrypted or made public. Also, in this case, we are able to get access to the remote ng configuration file of another user, of the admin user in this case. And so that was the tool responsible for managing the connection with RDP service. Okay, so let's see what's in this configuration file. And as you can see, there is a username, there is some encoded password, there is a host name, and there is a port. Okay, so let's copy this hash and let's use another tool to let's use another tool to decrypt this password. So let's copy it, and now let's paste this string to our decrypting tool. And as you could see, we were able to capture another password to our RDP server, but that's not all, because let's use our lasagna tool one more time, which might be also interesting. So let's run it, and it will take a while. So let me just make it a little smaller. So as you can see, now the lasagna tool was able to capture password hashes. It was able to extract the information about the questions and answers that are used in local user password reset feature. Yeah, so this is also crucial. And what's more, in this case, we were able to gather the Wi-Fi passwords. So in this case, we could extract the Wi-Fi password to our corporate network. Okay, so as you could see, this kind of vulnerabilities, or this type of using the the home computer could provide a lot of vulnerabilities that could be exploited by our attacker. So we have to take into consideration that if the computer is used for personal purposes also, there is a higher risk that some vulnerable software or infected software was installed on this kind of workstation.